To William Ernest Lex Jacoby, my brother, if you're reading this, I am in prison. An anonymous contact has sent you this letter and a lead-encased box. Here, they don't call me by name. My prisoner number is 181,1938. Sometimes I wonder who allowed me to be alive today. Was it the judge, the law, the jury of my peers, destiny, God, or him? We used to rule Manhattan, my brother. Our inherited wealth was enough to expand the empire that Father built. At first, I felt it was a shame that you chose science over our father's vision. But now, I am proud of you for getting that scholarship to a prestigious university. Since the day he took to the skies like a lightning bolt, our criminal empire has fallen. Gangs no longer run the streets, and the Manhattan underworld is unrecognizable. But my brother, this letter isn't about me brooding what I've lost. What if I told you that I made a god bleed? You're not better than I am, brother. So, don't make sanctimonious statements against me after you read this. I have seen your work on those dishonest debtors. How you had this obsession of creating a perfect man, or perhaps you were trying to become one. The bodies, the blood, the brains in the basement. Father was more merciful to them than you were. I can almost see the look on your face, the flush of envy spreading as you read these words. Now everyone knows the perfect man exists, and it isn't you. You, pale with that furious little tick in your jaw. Go on, let the hatred simmer, the anger gnaw at you. Maybe it'll even give you the strength I didn't have. You might be wondering how I managed to get involved in a scuffle with a god. So, let me take you back to a few months ago when our empire, scratch that. My empire was at its peak. Father was long dead, rest his soul. The outer circle of our vast criminal network only knows me as Baal. I fashioned myself after the Canaanite god, exuding a sense of power and a little bit of flamboyance. Because who could judge us? Who could stop us? There was this journalist. I couldn't remember her name. Was it Laurie? Lana? Lois? Such things slipped my mind. But it started with an L. So let's say, Miss L. She was incessant and annoying. The police on my payroll tried to pay her off to look the other way, but she refused. She went around digging where she shouldn't be. She wanted to be a hero who would expose Manhattan for the crime-ridden city it is. She knows this clean city is putting up a facade, so I planned to kidnap her. She was attending a gala hosted by her workplace. For a woman as beautiful and feisty as Miss L, she was quite the loner. So, I had my men approach her and invite her to the car. We pulled out our knives in a subtle manner for extra persuasion. A nerdy, milquetoast man came close to spotting us. He said we were making the woman uncomfortable. I put my arm over his shoulder and told him I would buy him coffee for a talk. He took the bait, and my men took Miss L for a ride. It was a short talk for that nerd. He refused my 50 grand offer to avoid trouble, but Miss L had already left him. I took another car and went back home. Miss L had been waiting for me. In the basement, tied up and surrounded by my men like a feast of pigs. I gave her one last offer, but she spat in my face and refused. So, I wanted to make an example of her. You were not around then, my brother. Forgive me for rummaging through your laboratory. One of the oddities I found was a green scalpel. I could have picked a jackknife or any ordinary blade, but I picked your favorite scalpel. I saw you cut through bones with it. As I was about to carve the fucking reporter like a pumpkin, he came in. He stood above me at the top of the stairs, Vasily's limp body dangling from his grip. Vasily, a 6-foot mountain man of fat and muscle, hung like a rag doll, utterly helpless in the hands of this Ubermensch. My men didn't hesitate. They raised their rifles and aimed their pistols. First, there was a click. Then, there was gunfire. But he just stood there as the bullets bounced off him like harmless raindrops. Then this demon, draped in shadow, laughed. He laughed, my brother, mocking me and my men. Then his eyes flared, a deep crimson glow, like something straight from hell. Our guns melted like slag, and we had to throw them away lest we burn our palms. The hiss and smell of burning metal filled the air as I stumbled back, bolting toward your laboratory. I slammed the steel doors shut and ducked behind rows of your perfect man experiments. Still, silent corpses on gurneys, their faces half done, some mouths stitched shut. The air reeked of formaldehyde and something else, something rotten. You were never merciful, brother. I see that now, surrounded by the remnants of your work. I heard muffled screams through the door as he made his way with my men. For a heartbeat, silence. Metal screeched as he tore through 500 pounds of bulletproof steel. The door buckled like cardboard, and there he was. His demon eyes pierced through me, burning red hot. He wasn't here to speak. He was here to end me. Weapons, yes, I thought to myself. My hand shot out, finding a lever on the wall, hoping for a weapon. Anything. I yanked it down and the lights cut out. The room was black, except for those relentless crimson eyes. A surge of electricity flowed through the morgue. Then there were sounds of stones scraping against flesh. I awakened your perfect men. I heard the groans and mumbles of men supposed to be dead. Only the faint shuffle of feet and low, guttural groans grew louder as they closed in. The Übermensch was silent and still, a predator waiting. His glowing eyes were the only pinpoints of light. A perfect man lunged, fists swinging with bone-crushing force. The room swallowed them back into shadow, leaving only the shuffle of fighting and the sound of ragged breathing until, flash. A flare of light ripped through the dark, illuminating the chaos for a split second. As the Übermensch's eyes ignited, sending a scarlet beam of death through the air, the perfect men writhed and twisted, some of them catching fire as they advanced. One lunged through the searing heat, landing a powerful blow to the Übermensch's jaw. The sound of impact reverberated through the room. For the first time, the Übermensch staggered, stunned but not in pain. Another perfect man tackled him like a freight train. They crashed to the concrete floor and rolled in the dark. I saw the undead clawing at the Übermensch's throat. Their hands, straining with monstrous strength, tried to choke him. Flash. His eyes blazed again, shooting searing red fire across the room. The perfect man, choking the Übermensch, stumbled back, smoke rising from his face. Yet he lunged forward, refusing to relent. Two others joined, attacking in tandem. The Übermensch swung his arm like they were made of steel. It cracked their undead ribs and flung one into the wall. But the others surged on, clawing and punching, using their bodies as weapons. The darkness swallowed them whole again, leaving only grunts and the clash of fists. The Cape Demon snarled, grabbing the attacker by the head and twisting sharply. But as that perfect man fell, another one grabbed the Übermensch's arm, twisting it backward. Another slammed into his ribs with enough force to crack stone. They fought like cornered beasts, relentless and mindless. They were driven only by whatever spark of life animated them. The Übermensch's red eyes glowed even brighter, and he let out a laugh, a cruel, taunting laugh, as he wrenched free, flinging two of them across the room in one motion. The entire room is on fire now. The blaze should be enough to consume the Übermensch and the monsters you created, brother. I climbed up a ladder and escaped into the garden, but he was there, waiting for me. His hands held the twisted, lifeless bodies of the perfect men. He scattered them across the floor like broken dolls. "Where do you think you can go that I cannot follow you?" said the Übermensch. I was desperate, my brother. What was the point of going up against someone you knew you could never escape, who could take you apart with just a thought? This was the moment I fought a god. Ever since I was a child, I saw that the world was ugly. So I heard it. I heard it again and again and again. They begged, they screamed, they bled, they died. But this was different. He was not concerned about what I was going to do. And I understand that. I know it was useless. I know I was a dead man. So I pulled out your green scalpel and I stabbed him in the eye. The blade pierced through with a sickening pop. The god screamed in pain. His voice tore through the air, a guttural, raw sound that almost destroyed my ears. His hand shot up, gripping the scalpel, his fingers closing over it like a vice. With a twist, he crushed it into splinters, fragments of green metal scattering to the floor. I didn't wait to see the rage in his one good eye. I spun around, legs pounding as I bolted for the back gate, heart hammering, his furious roars chasing me into the darkness. I flung the gate open, breathless, only to freeze. He was already there, a shadow stretching across the ground in the faint light, blocking my escape. He cocked his head, one hand resting loosely at his side, the other dripping blood from where the scalpel had bitten. His voice sliced through the silence, low and icy. "Tell me, where haven't I already followed you?" He didn't blink, his good eye fixed on me, gleaming with cold amusement, as if this was all just a game he was tired of winning. "You're already at my feet, defeated. You've surrendered," said the superhuman, each word precise as if the outcome had been decided long ago. "You are already sitting in a jail cell. It's over." There was no choice. I knelt, not because I wanted mercy, but because I knew he had no mercy left to give. I waited for him to end it. But this God showed mercy after all. And so here I am, locked in this prison, watching as my empire burns to ashes outside these walls. I spent the next 6 months watching my gangs fall one by one to this superior man, while another 3 were spent communicating with my remaining contacts, gathering shards of your broken scalpel and collecting what remains of your laboratory. They encased your equipment in a box of lead when they found out some of them were radioactive, especially your scalpel. I hope you found this letter useful, brother. Signed. This part of the letter has been burned off.